The end zones more, so we got up and down the ice pretty cleanly the first session, and then today we would take it to the end zones. We're going to fool around with our neutral zone tomorrow. All we're trying to do with our guys is give them a broad view of major systems with one idea in each system that we'd like to see in the Nashville game. We're not expecting systematic perfection by any means, but it was the first 4 days are in introduction to kind of the three defensive zones on the ice, how we play them, and what our mindset is in the three offensive zones, breakouts, transition, and offensive zone play.
You've got Colin in a good position right now with Matthew Tkachuk and Sam
Yeah.
Bennett. Just in terms of potential, what do you see from Colin, a guy looking for a second chance here, looking for a bit of a resurgence?
Yeah, you know what? We've got a bunch of those guys. As a matter of fact, it's kind of a hallmark of the Florida Panthers. They brought in an awful lot of players that were maybe at the crossroads in their career. They'd come into the NHL. Maybe their definition of what kind of player they were changed, and then they get here, and whether it's Anthony Duclair or Sam Bennett, Sam Reinhart, these guys, kind of explode. And in some ways, we find it's a return to their original form, if possible, kind of what we saw or what the league saw when these guys came in. So that opportunity is there for White and Balcers and Cousins, guys who've played in the National Hockey League. We think we can get them back to kind of return them to their original form of how they came into the league. Where they're playing right now has really nothing to do with lines that I put together. What it is I wanted to play them with people that gave me a chance to understand their game. So I've got a pretty good idea of what Carter and Alexander look like, what happens when you play with those kind of players, how do you think the game. So it allows me to see them. I'm really going to reserve judgment on any of them just from two practices where not a lot of flow to the game, but I'll start to watch them a little closer in the exhibition games for sure.
Is that resurgence thing, is that just something Bill in this scouting department you think have a good eye for, or just they can kind of envision how these guys fit in like a larger picture?
They have an advantage that when they bring these players in, they're playing with good players. Yeah. So they give them an opportunity. Bennett had spent quite a bit of time on the wing in Calgary because they had strong center icemen, so I understand that, but he comes back to the middle and finds his game again. Some of it is you get a young enough player, they're still defining themselves, right? Each individual has lots of room for growth. You get them with some other good players, you get them confidence, the elusive word in all pro sports. They find their confidence, and then we see them as the player maybe we thought they were originally.
A guy who kind of feels like he fits in that too is Forsling, who was a waiver claim for them, and basically since the day he's got here has been really good. Steve,
right.
Like the speed, the skill. Like what has stood out to you about him and the way that he?
Well, he's a prime example that now just watched the first 2 days, and he's a full-on pro. Like, he's as good as any other skater out there. He knows his game. But the National Hockey League has moved more to those kind of games. If you can skate and you're smart, and he is both, and he is in incredible shape. He plays at a very, very high level. So I think what it is a guy who's figured out what he's great at and employs it every time he goes on the ice. Some of these guys that are on the bubble when they first come in, and almost every player is on the bubble for the first few years. They end up playing a game of no mistakes because they can't get back on the ice if they keep making them, and it changes who they are. They get to a place where they can do some of the things that they're gifted at, and they make a mistake, and because they've produced, they get a chance to go back out, they gain that confidence.
With younger players that are in the fringe, like Kierstead, Denisenko, Heponiemi, that like fringe roster guys, I know it's early, but what do you look for out of guys kind of in that bracket that maybe they can take the next step?
So the first 4 days for me and those brand new players is they've got to show me what they're great at. I need to leave the rink each day with an understanding of what they're selling. So you can be a completely different player. If you're a physical guy, you want to control pucks in the offense. If you're a speed guy, you want to get into holes and open up the ice. If you got hands, I want to see some completed plays. So what they're selling right now is what they're good at. All of them that you just mentioned, either different position or different styles of player. I just need, the assessment we're making is what that player great at, good enough to be in the NHL in a role? Can we find a role for that style of player? And so the first 4 days are important. But the exhibition games will be key.
Do you think it's important or maybe helpful to them with a new coaching staff and maybe a clean slate?
Yeah, you have the opportunity to be great at something, right? New set of eyes, and it's not just one set. We got a whole bunch of different sets of eyes, brand new experiences, players. What'll happen is you'll get another coach who says, we had a player just like that here, and we put him in this role, and he flourished. So there's an opportunity, but at the end of the day, it's incumbent on the player to make a strong case of this is what my talent is, this is what I'm good at.
I didn't see Justin Sordiff out there
Correct.
with that first group. Is he doing all right?
Yeah, he is injured. He's off ice, and I will list him as day to day.
How about Zach Dalpe? Seen him working.
So he skated today, so he is injured day to day, but he's moving closer, so he's on the mend. So he's back on the ice. He's going to go through what he went through today, again at an even higher level. If he clears that, then he's probably not far off.
No, he's a long way away, but Duclair, is he like kind of around the group at all?
In every day, in all of the meetings. So all injured players sit through all video. They train with us here. They're part of the group so that we can monitor where they're at. Okay.
Excited
Thanks,
for
Paul.
his first
Okay,
Florida
guys.
season.